I'd like to welcome everyone to today's hearing and thank our witnesses for joining us to discuss whether the Stafford Act and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA's, response, recovery, and mitigation programs that are designed to help our communities before, during, and following wildfire are working as they should be. While Southern Nevada, which is my district, downtown Las Vegas, doesn't have the same magnitude of risk for wildfire as elsewhere, the state certainly has similar experiences of those further north, our neighbors in California, Oregon, and Washington. All western states have seen record-setting wildfires in recent years. Drought conditions have resulted in forests that are just ready to explode. That could be caused from a lightning bolt, a campfire spark, utility lines being interrupted by trees, or an arsonist match. We've seen all of those. As our witnesses note in their testimony, wildfire season now starts earlier and lasts longer, finishes later. Fires burn hotter, larger, and longer due to climate change. Fall storms, like those bringing welcome precipitation to the west just this week, arrive later, and they're less helpful in extinguishing still raging forest fires. We see that FEMA is providing an unprecedented number of fire management assistant grants to states in order to provide much-needed federal assistance for fire suppression costs. While I'm sure our witnesses would rather not be experts in all things related to wildfires, they do represent states and communities that have been or currently are devastated by these destructive and sometimes deadly events. The subcommittee looks forward to hearing about their experiences, their successes, and their frustrations in responding to, recovering from, and mitigating against these firestorms. My hope is that today's hearing will provide a clearer picture as to whether FEMA's disaster and mitigation assistance programs are flexible enough to address the challenges currently faced by Western states. And I would mention that while the West's monstrous fire complexes have received the largest amount of media attention in recent years, forested states in the Southeast are also experiencing wildfires with increased frequency. What changes may be necessary to ensure that federal recovery programs, whether under FEMA or under HUD, meet the needs in the wake of these wildfires as they do for disasters such as tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods. We want to be sure that we recognize the severity of wildfires and that we are dealing with them accordingly. So what does recovery look like 1, 2, or 5 years after a fire? How have survivors fared? Are housing needs being met in a timely way? Or are they just picking up and leaving like one-offs? Do they have access to, do individuals have access to crisis counseling and mental health after they've experienced such deadly and threatening events? The mental health situation is often ignored, but we know that it can have long-term impacts on both the community and an individual. And I'm proud to join our colleague, Representative Ayanna Presley, in introducing her Post-Disaster Mental Health Response Act, which is bipartisan legislation that expands access to FEMA's crisis counseling program for all emergencies, not just those declared major disasters. A consistent thread across all of our FEMA-related oversight seems to be, and we hear it from all of you, burdensome bureaucracy and red tape. What might we cut with statutory changes that will make this situation better? What regulations or policies might FEMA need to revisit to be sure they're fully considering all of the post-fire needs? And are there any opportunities for a more united federal, state, local approach to recovery? The committee is scheduled to take up legislation tomorrow in a markup that will provide some additional relief for recipients of FMAGs, a bill to establish that 75% federal share is the minimum and that FEMA must work to establish criteria for when the federal share increases for fires of a certain magnitude. Additionally, in the Resilient America package introduced by Chair Fazio, Ranking Member Graves, Ranking Member Webster, and myself, there are provisions to boost resources for pre-disaster mitigation. And that includes providing assistance for communities interested in updating their building codes, establishing a pilot block grant program so states can assist residents in the wildfire urban interface, enhance defensible space around their property, and also installing fire-resistant building materials to reduce risk. So we've done a lot, but we have a lot to do, and we appreciate the advice and information from our expert witnesses. Thank you for joining us today. I look forward to the discussion, and I now yield the floor to Ranking Member Webster.
Thank you, Chair.